I'm Francis Hales. The date is December 31st, 2010. And when you first mentioned this to Pat about me doing this, I was pretty skeptical about it. And then I talked to Dorothy, my sister, and she thought I should do it, so I decided I would. So here we are, and I hope it turns out all right. December 6th is my birthday, and as happened, that's when the Japs bombed Pearl Harbor. And I was in college at the time over at St. Benedict's in Atchison, Kansas. And on that particular day, Mom and Dad had come over to see me since it was my birthday, and they were all excited about all the bombing that was going on. So they went on back home, and life went on, but it didn't go on as usual because so many of the guys were leaving college to get in the whatever branch of service they were going to be in. So I set it out for a while, and then I finally decided that as long as I was in college while the draft board was passing me by, so I just finally decided that everybody else was going, I should go too. So I told the draft board to just let me go. So I actually went into service on August the 21st, 1943. And my date of separation was December the 4th of 45. So in those 2 years, there was quite a bit went on. My first contact with the Army was that they sent me to Fort Leavenworth, and I was just there for 2 or 3 days. The only thing I remember about that was I was awakened at 4 a.m. to go to the mess hall to scrub potatoes, so it wasn't much of the Army, but anyhow, that's where I was. And I was just there a couple of days, and then they sent me on to Fort Benning, Georgia, and that's where I had my basic training there. Our training was pretty rough down there. Our cadre, the guys that were what am I trying to say? The guys that were above us and trying to make soldiers out of us were all people that had been in the war over there. So they knew exactly what was going on and what we were going to face. So it was pretty rough training. And that went on for, I think, 2 or 3 months. And following that, the Army, in their wisdom, decided that I should go to the University of Indiana, Bloomington, Indiana, under the Army Specialized Training Program. So we went, I was sent up there, and I was just there 3 months, and they practically shut down that program because they were needing so many more recruits overseas. So I was, as I say, I was just there about 3 months, and then they sent me on, me and a lot of others from the university, down to, let me see, get my notes here. Okay, we left university and went on down to maneuvers, where we joined C Company of the 101st Infantry, the 26th Infantry Division. We were in training at several states there at the time. We were in Tennessee, we were in Georgia, we were in South Carolina. And there again, the training was pretty rough, because once more our cadre was soldiers that had already been over there and knew what we were going to go through. So they were pretty rough on us. But it was what we needed anyhow. After we finished that training, which took several months, we were sent to Camp Shanks, New York. And about August the 27th, we boarded the USS Saturnia, which was an Italian liner that had been converted to a ship to take the soldiers over there. And they did take us all right. We had the whole 101st Regiment was on that boat. And it had been a beautiful boat at one time, but they had converted it, of course, to a troop ship, and it wasn't very luxurious this time. They fed us at just long tables, standing up, and if you didn't hold on to your plate, it was liable to get away from you. And our security was very secure there. The guys that liked to smoke, if they caught them smoking at night, that was a no-no. You just didn't do it. And we were part of a big convoy. I don't know how many ships there were, but there were several in the convoy, and we were protected by battleships and by submarines, is what I was trying to think of. But I think it took us about 10 days to get overseas, and we got over there without any problem at all, but we were all just a little antsy about the whole thing, but we got over there, and so we arrived at the port of Cherbourg on September 7th. And at that time we boarded trucks that took us to the province of Normandy. We were assigned to the 3rd Army, the 1st Battalion that followed the rest of the regiment around an area of the front lines on October the 14th, the night of October 16 to 17. The 1st Battalion exchanged the 2nd Battalion of the 101st Regiments on the front lines. I remember that the night was pitch black. You couldn't see your hand in front of you. Didn't know where you were going. And that it had been raining so much there, it was just inky black, and we couldn't see anything at all, and we were just putting our hands on front of the guy in front of us so to keep track of where we were going. it was a bad time. And I remember the night was, as I said, was pitch black. And we put our hands on the man in front of us to keep track where we were. And when we finally got to our foxholes, we were in foxholes that had been originally dug by soldiers of the 4th Armored Division. Let's go forward to November 4th. On that day, the first lieutenant of our company came around and picked 3 of us from different foxholes, so no foxhole would be left by itself. Wouldn't be anybody there. And he picked Joe Doerr, D-O-E-R-R, and Raymond Maneely, who was a good friend of mine, and myself. And we were told that we knew that the Germans were very, very close to us, but we didn't know exactly where. So that was our mission, to go find out how close the Germans were. Well, we took off, and this was, of course, in the black of night, and we couldn't see anything at all. And we left our foxholes and started to where we thought the Germans were encamped. And sure enough, they were. And it wasn't, we hadn't been gone very long before they knew that 3 of us were coming toward them there. And so they started then with all kinds of artillery and flares so they could see what was going on, and shrapnel and all that kind of stuff. And it didn't take them very long to get the 3 of us out of commission. And so I didn't find this out until later on, after the war was over, actually. Joe Doerr was seriously injured. My friend Raymond Maneely was killed, and I was captured. But as I say, I didn't know this until later, but when back in our places, they knew something was wrong, so they sent out another squad after us. And they did. They found Doerr. He had been seriously wounded. And Maneely, as I said, was killed. But they were able to bring his body back. And they couldn't find me because I had already been surrounded by the Germans, and I was taken back to their lines. So that was basically how I got captured. It wasn't anything heroic or anything like that. It's just one of those things that happens in the course of a war and of battles. Okay. So I was reported missing in action on November 4th of 1944, and I was taken prisoner on November 4th. And in the course of the things, I suffered some shrapnel wounds. So the Germans put me in a hospital for about a month that was run by the French people. Uh, I don't think I had any serious wounds, because I said I was just there about a month, and so they decided I should go someplace else. So they sent me through a couple of transient camps, and going from camp to camp was not fun. They sent us in just cattle cars, and we had very little food. It just was not good. But the last place they put me was in the occupied country of Czechoslovakia. On the 8th of May, I came under the Czech military and was taken to Prague, which was a beautiful city. I would like to have gone back there in peacetime. And it was the capital of Czechoslovakia. And I spent 3 days under control of the International Red Cross. Red Cross took me to Pilsen, Germany, where I was given into American hands. Then under GI control, I was taken to Regensburg, Germany, and then I was taken to a C-47 transport plane that took me to Le Havre, France. I was there until June 2nd, when I started my return trip to the United States. I landed at Norfolk, Virginia, then came on to Jefferson Barracks, and then came on into the separation center, which was Jefferson Barracks. And I hadn't told my folks that I was home, and so I had a month's furlough, so I came on home, and I arrived home on a Sunday. And Mom and Dad had been to church, and Mom always liked to do her shopping on Sunday. Dad had the grocery store downtown. And so they were down there shopping, and I knew pretty well where they were. And so I just waited until they got pulled into the driveway. And the car was in the garage, or back there where they were going to park, and I just stepped out of the back door. And Mom had a sack of groceries, and she just threw those groceries all over the place. Oh, it didn't take very long for the word to get around that I was home, and my relatives started coming in. So basically, that's about what happened to me. I was there for a month, was home for a month, and then I went back. I forgot now where they sent me. But that was basically what happened to me and what I went through during World War II. Economics was my major.
Okay.
So that was my principal study. but they were trying to get us all doing a lot of math, so I did take some math. And some English, and that was about all until I just decided that I'd been in college long enough, and all my friends, as I said, they were already gone, so I just decided it was time for me to go too.
Mm-hmm.
How long had you been at college?
Pardon?
How long had you been at college?
2.5 years, I think it was. Oh, we had some shows, but I can't tell you who they were now. I don't think I got to see Bob Hope, but we did have some shows. But they weren't giving us too many shows, I don't think. I can't recall anybody that was there of any fame, but we thought they were good in Hales.
Mm-hmm.
So we did enjoy some shows that did come over. Oh, let's see. No, once we got overseas, we did have a few rest days, but there wasn't any place that we could go for entertainment or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I never got to see Paris. They just put us the wrong way to get to there. But we did have some good shows. I do remember them, but as I say, we never saw Bob Hope or any of those. But it wasn't all bad. I still keep touch with one. Specs Burdett. His eyesight was so bad, I don't know how he ever got in the Army. But he had it pretty rough over there. He was injured a couple of times. He was a tall, gaunt kid. Not kid, but as I say, his eyesight, he was terrible. Specs Burdett, but he was a smart guy. And he knew what was going on over there. Yeah, I've kept track of him. In fact, I called him the other day just to, that he was the one that gave me some of the material that I used here. Mm-hmm. He's in Lancaster, Ohio. But he was the only one that I kept contact with. I did meet one other guy after I came back. I had dated a girl over at St. Benedict's, and she lived in New Jersey. So she invited me to come see her after she knew I was home. So I did. I took about a week's vacation to go see her, and I don't know how she got in contact with this one guy, but this one friend that was in the same squad with me came to her house to see me there. Mm-hmm. And I think her name was Catherine, and I had dated her in college, but I didn't think it was anything serious, but she did. So anyhow, when I came back, I didn't even get in touch with her. Every once in a while, I'll get a telephone call And she'll say, "You know who this is?" And I'll say, "No." She said, "Well, she's Catherine now. She's not Kitty anymore. But she lives in Kansas City."
Oh.
And I was about half afraid she'd wind up in Plattsburgh here one of these days. But I came back, and as far as I was concerned, my relationship with Kitty was over. But she didn't quite see it that way. But she wasn't. She wasn't. She went back to from college back east there, and I didn't see her when I got back to Benedict's.
Did you finish at Benedict's then when you went
Oh
back?
yeah,
You did?
Sure did.
And got a degree in economics then?
In economics.
Okay.
Mom and Dad and some of the other Hales came over there when I graduated. I was the first one of the Hales family to get to go to college.
Okay.
There were several of them came into my graduation. Right after college, I wasn't sure what I was going to do, and in fact, I thought seriously about the priesthood. So I took some philosophy courses up at Notre Dame one summer, and then I wasn't sure what I was going to do, so I went to Georgetown University, and but I didn't take any philosophy there. I took I've forgotten what the name of the course was. But then, by that time, Dad was getting to the point where he was getting a little tired of the grocery business. So I came back home, and that's when I went in the grocery business. I don't think I was really suited for it. But I wound up with it anyhow for a while. And then after we sold the store down here, well, I decided to go into politics. So I ran for collector of Clinton County here in Plattsburgh. And I beat the guy that had been in there for several terms by 18 votes. Landslide, but it was enough to get me in the job anyhow. And I was in there for 16 years, and then I retired from that. Dad came down here in 1933, 33 or 34, I never did know for sure. And we built the store. When he came down here, he was in a small store on the main street in Plattsburgh there. And then in 1964, we built the store that's down there now. And I've forgotten who we sold it to in '64. But it's still going as a grocery store. And after I sold the grocery store, that's when I decided I should be a politician. Yeah, I got the Purple Heart, prisoner of war. I've got about a box full up there. One that I was proud of, the combat infantry man badge, and that I had good conduct and all that. But I had 3 battle stars, taking us through the various campaigns over there. So yeah, I've got quite a few medals, but those were the important ones. Oh, I wasn't mistreated by them actually. We just didn't have anything to eat. They would just give us like a small bowl of potato soup or something and a slice of bread, and that was about it for a day. So all of us lost considerable weight, and just in those 6 months that I was in there, I lost 20 to 25 pounds. And we were, when they would, we were supposed to be in a work camp there, and the last one there. And the guys that were in charge of us were all the younger men, of course, were in service there. So the guards that were guarding us were just old men, actually. We weren't about to do any hard work for the Germans. We were supposed to be rebuilding a railroad that had been bombed out. But we didn't do enough to help them any. An old guy would come around and say, "Rouse, rouse, rouse," at work. And we'd pick up our shovel and do a little bit. And he'd leave, and we'd turn down the shovels. And if he came back, we'd pick up the shovel again. But we didn't help him. The only way that we knew that the war was over was when the guards just disappeared. And that's how I wound up in Czechoslovakia. I got just like maybe a couple. No, we didn't get anything. Not on a regular basis. We did get some Red Cross food at Christmas time, at 44 there, I remember that, which was a rare treat. Johnny was 2 years older than I was. He was in the Air Force, and he spent three and a half years in the Air Force, and 9 months of those were overseas. Staff Sergeant John Hales Jr. was in service about 3.5 years, 9 months of that being overseas. He was in the Air Corps with the 38th Bombing Squadron Radar Service, and was stationed at Haluka. And that's all I have on him. And the other boys, Pat was, of course, married to Bill, and I don't know. I think he was in Korea, but I couldn't be sure. And Harold was in service, but there again, I don't know what branch he was in. I just don't know anything about his service. I was made a private first. We went in as privates. Did make private first class, and then when we got back into U.S. hands, by all that were PFCs were made corporals. But that was as big a rank as I ever made. Yes, I think we were all
Mhm.
hopeful that we
Sure.
would come out all right.
Mhm.
Yeah, it other than just being away from home and all that, that the POW part wasn't. We didn't have anybody keep beating on us or anything like that. So I guess in that respect, I was lucky again. There were so many of us on there, we would just jam together. So we were in, I don't know, 3 or 4 bunks to a room and all that kind of thing. But it was bearable, and we knew we weren't in it. We didn't sign up for anything that was going to be luxurious. Not really. I just the foxhole part was the worst part, and we were in that. I was probably in that area possibly a month before I was captured. I look back on it, being captured might have saved my life, because everybody that went went overseas with that squad of 12 men, every one of them had some kind of bad trouble. Our squad leader was Sergeant Cookie Powers, and I didn't think much of him. And when he got overseas, he just lost it. They found him one day. He was had gone up to a room upstairs or something, and was crouched in a corner crying. So they sent him home, of course. And the assistant squad leader was Sergeant Henry Grenzel. He was a good friend of mine, and he had been down in the South for quite some time, and knew a lot of people, and so he took me on weekends with him, and we'd go up, and he had dated some lady down there, and they would turn their car over to us, and we just used all their gas and all their cars. But we weren't that liberated, though. We didn't get that many times off. But he was a good guy, but he didn't come back. He was killed too. But that's basically pretty well happened to me in the past few years. I have just gone right along. I have been lucky in my life so far as my health has been concerned. Other than the experience there in Germany, I haven't had too much to contend with, except now I've got arthritis in my feet and legs, and I can't walk like I used to, which irritates me a little bit. But could be a lot worse. I'm 88, so I guess I'm not in too bad a shape.
thank you for taking the time to do this. And
Well, I'm glad to do it. As I say, I was a little skeptical about it first, but I'm glad we did. And I just thank you, David.
Appreciate you also for serving for our country and
Well,
Yes.
thank you.
and through.
Thank you much. Thank you.